Okay. Um, so I am part of a SkillStack team. McKenna's here. My other colleague Heather is not here today, but we are all available. So as you go through uh, uh, working with SkillStack, the platform itself, and the things I'm talking about specifically about roster uploads. Um, we can help you with that. The roster upload process sometimes can be a little complicated if you get one field off or a number off or something like that. And so sometimes a second set of eyes can be helpful with that. Or if you accidentally upload data that you didn't intend, and that happens too. Sometimes we can help clean that up. But feel free to get in contact. We're a resource for you. I just want to be clear that you can get into contact with us to for questions. There is a general email, the skillstack at cte.idaho.gov, and that'll go to all three of us, and we can field those questions and answer those for you. So just keep that in mind as we go through this. Um, Let's go slide. So the goals for the session is we are going to go through with the information needed for uploading a skill stack roster. I will go through kind of step by step how to upload a roster, and then I'll give a live demonstration just to show you how that works. And so I have some screen captures in the slides, and then we'll go into the live site to work through that, and we can answer questions once we get into the live demo piece. There are a series of links throughout the presentation. I've put those in chat for people to share. It will hopefully put those in an email to everyone as well, so that they'll have that information as well. The links that we'll go over is the landing page for the math badges. So this is the place that you'll go and log in. We have a request form to get your EDU ID so we can create your SkillStack accounts, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. There is a link for the roster header upload template, the Excel file that you'll use to put in the student information to create your rosters. A link for the SkillStack resources that are available to you. And then I did put a link into the approver guide and lesson plan for students. We're not going to go into detail with those, but those are good to always reiterate, especially the lesson plan. The improver guide does include information about maintaining your rosters as well. And I believe I'm going to be working with Kathy to maybe get a customized one for the math folks that's a little more specific for your needs. So the first part is there is a roster template, and I believe Kathy did share that with you, and it is one of the links that was shared out too. It is basically a Excel file that is just uploaded into the platform, and it reads the data and creates the roster from that. One thing to be aware of is that we do need your instructor EDU ID in order to set up your SkillStack account. And so some of the information I'm going through right now, if you haven't got that information to us yet, we'll use that information to create an account. And once you have an account, you can then go ahead and fill out the template and upload a roster. As a reminder, the EDU ID is a 9-digit identifier. It's assigned by the state. And so, in theory, every public student educator should have one. If you don't know yours, the person to contact is the person in your district or school who helps submit your data to the state of Idaho or to IC. They should be the ones that would have that information as well. And there is a form that we're asking for you to share your EDU ID with us so we can create your account. That is in the links that I shared, and I'll share them again at the end of the presentation as well. This is a screenshot of what the header upload file, the template that you'll use. You can see there are, I'm not gonna, it's an alpha. I was gonna try to do math. I don't know how many field, what is O in the, um, O. So it goes all the way up to O in the columns. And so you'll need your student EDU ID, your instructor EDU ID, your district number, your school ID, etc. Um, One thing that I'll reiterate a few times is the first column. the first row of the header information. Do not change any of the information or order of this because that's how the platform reads that. However, the rows here 2 through 5, these are just instructions. And so before you upload that information, before you upload your student roster, which you'll create below in the columns 6 and beyond, you want to delete that information prior to the upload. And so that information's not used by the system. And so the
Understood.
information, I'm sorry, was there a question or? Thought I heard something. All right, sorry. The information required for the roster upload is, again, that instructor EDU ID information. The EDU ID, both the instructor and the student EDU ID is the important data point that matches the student to the instructor to create their roster. So those are the two things that really need to be accurate in the system. And so there, for the teacher information, you'll need the instructor ID, your first name and last name, school information, which is your district ID and student ID, course code. And so that's often in the IC data that is given or reported, your period and section, and then student information will include their EDU ID, their first name, last name. Middle name is optional, but you can put that in. Student email address, that is optional, but this is also one of the key data points that we want to make sure that you're aware of. If you have that information, or if your school or district assigns students emails, if you have that available to you, you want to be able to put that information in because that will let students know that they've received badges and we'll also let them be able to log in as well. And so the student email is not needed for the to create a student roster, but if you do have that information, it's good. The student lesson plan that I mentioned at the very beginning goes through about helping students create accounts themselves, and they can input their own email. And so that's another option to get the email in there. The other student information is their grade level, and birth date is also optional as well, but that is in there too. Um, when you fill out the roster the roster template, again, some things to remember is the EDU IDs are the data matching point between teacher and students. Be sure to delete the rows 2 through 5, which are that instruction area, and do not change any header information in the first row. And so that will make sure for a successful upload into SkillStack. Again, if you run into problems with this, this is something that McKenna, myself, and Heather can help with too. When you upload a student roster, once you've filled out the template, the Excel template sheet, you want to go into the SkillStack landing page. And so you want to go to the specific landing page for Department of Education. And so that's sde.skillstack.idaho.gov. That was also a link that was shared out too. When you go to that page, you want to go to the login up at the top. And so up in the top right, you go into the login link, you will put in your account information. And so your account, usually your username is going to be your first name and last name, smushed together as one word with the first letter of your first and last name capitalized, and then your password. When you get us your EDU ID information, we will create your login for you and send you a temporary password or ask you to reset your password, and then you'll be able to log in. And so McKenna and myself will help with those account creation once we have the proper information. We'll also create the permissions for you to award the specific badges as well. After you've logged in, it will it will let you see additional menus that you have options to use. You will be, as a teacher, you'll be in the parlance called an approver, so approving badges. And so you would want to go to the approver menu, and under that drop-down menu, there is a student roster, and I'll demo that as well, a student roster part. Once you navigate to the student roster page, you want to upload your badges with those two little icons, the icon with the arrow facing up, for upload would be where you would upload the roster, and then it would populate your roster with your students. And we'll again go through that process as well. Once you've uploaded your roster, you can validate and maintain your roster. So what SkillStack does is it will ask you to validate that a student is appropriately in your roster. And so validating often means that a student, there's slightly information slightly different between what you're uploading and what SkillStack thinks a student is, and that's that EDUID information that it's matching. Um, Oftentimes it might be that a student's middle name is attached, or you're uploading a nickname or something like that. And what that does in this case is you'll get a pop-up window that says validate roster. If you click on that, it will show the student that they're saying might be in your roster, and then it will ask you to correct or correctly match the information. And so in this case, the it's missing an S off of Flanders, and so you would type Flanders in and verify that, and then you can upload it. That student then can be put into your roster. You can also remove students in the validation screen as well that may not be in your roster have been incorrectly uploaded. So, for example, if you had put in a EDUID number that was off a digit and it grabbed a student that was in SkillStack that was associated with that EDUID, you can remove that student there. There are other places to remove students as well from your roster, but this is one of the first. Um, when you're in the roster, the student roster screen itself, there is a validate roster button. So you'll get the pop-up, but if you ignore the pop-up, there's another way to go back, and the validate roster button is right there. And so that's another way to go in, and if sometimes you're looking at your roster and you're missing students, you want to jump into the validate roster to see if the student is there and it hasn't been validated and added to your roster. And so that's another place to validate your roster. When you're in the student roster itself, you have options to remove a student from your roster. If you remove a student, it's not removing them from SkillStack. So if you clicked on the X, it doesn't remove them from SkillStack itself. It just removes them from your student roster to award badges. And so that would be something you might want to do if a student graduated or a student's no longer in your class. You can do that. You can also help maintain student logins and passwords through the menu on the right there. And you can adjust account information, so student name and some other information related to that as well. So some minor demographic information you can adjust there as well. And I will demo this when we go into the live demo. I just want to reiterate that I know some of this can be confusing, and you may only do it, once a year, or that, or forget. We're happy to help and sit down with you. We could do one-on-one consultations. We have videos and other things, but please, you can send a question to the SkillStack email, and we'll try to answer it within 48 hours or get back to you to say that we're working on the issue you're bringing forward. Um, so I think the next thing would be to jump into doing a SkillStack demo. Are there any questions at this stage before I go into the live demo?
I'm just wondering, if we don't put emails in now, can we put emails in later?
Yes, you can. Students you'll have a few opportunities either as a teacher approver, you can put in the student email, or when the lesson plan asks the student to register for SkillStack, which is kind of claiming their SkillStack account, they will need their EDUID to do that. And once they register, it will ask them to input their email that they want to be contacted by. So.
Okay, and then my other question is, you said that we can delete them out of our class roster, but then they're not out of SkillStack. So
Mhm.
does that mean, like, if, let's say, somebody else had them previous to me and now I have them, do I, when I add them again, does it double add them or does it just find them and bring them in?
It would find the student and bring them in. So a student can be in multiple class rosters. So, it could be in two rosters at the same time. And so that is not a big deal. And so if you delete them, it's not going to delete them out of somebody else's roster. You're only maintaining your own roster.
Okay, thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Um, Let me escape out of there really quickly. All right. Kathy, can you verify that you see the header document? Okay. Um, and so this is ex again the example of the Excel file that you'd want to fill out. And when you're working with it, again, you want to after you've got all the information, you want to delete these um, columns 2 through 5. So just delete those before you put them in. Um, it's asking for the 9-digit EDU ID for both you and the student, 3-digit district, 4-digit state, et cetera, as I mentioned before. And so it tells you at the top whether it's required or optional. And so that'll help with what you're looking at as well. Um, this is an example of a roster. I've deleted the few columns. I've put their ID instead of a number for this case because this is a dummy roster. They're starting with Springfield, but you could put their number there. This is my EDU ID, so it's going to match these students to my student roster. For district, I'm using instead of using numbers, I'm just using letters in this case again because it's a dummy account, etc. For the course code, I'm using Math 101 uh, and the period and section. These are helpful, more internal for your usage to help you identify students, and I'll show you that in the roster because you can sort students by their period if that's helpful as well, if that's useful for you as well. But as you can see, like I don't have any information in middle name, instructor middle name, or student email address. You can leave that information blank when you're uploading, and that will be I mean, it should help, it should upload successfully as long as you have the required fields. Um, I'm gonna get out of that because I will have to use that as my upload example. So this is the landing page for SkillStack. There are videos here to go through, introductory videos. These are videos too that you can share with your students if you need to give background information about uh, SkillStack. At the top here, you'll see the headers. If you're not logged in, all you will be able to see is the badges that are available. And so in this case, the only badges um, for this landing page are the math transition badges. When I was talking about the student registering, there is the registering for SkillStack. And this would be where the student would put the personal information in uh, that would match with the EDU ID when they're registering. So this is another place to get that email information or for students to claim their account. But for our purposes, we want to look at rostering. And so, like I said, you want to go into the login. You want to put your username and password. If you forget your username, you can hit forget password and it will should email you, I think, a temporary password for you to use that you can change. Again, if you get stuck in this process, you can also email us as well. Once you log in, you'll see that we have additional menus at the top. The I have some more menus because I'm an admin, but generally you will see the approver menu. The My Badges menu is if you've been awarded badges, so you may not see that, but your students will see that. But you want to go to the approver, and we were talking about student rosters, so you want to scroll down to the student roster part. Right now, I have one student in my roster. It's myself. But if I wanted to add students through the template, I can use this upload feature, which is the far right here. Um, and then select the Excel file that has the header templates that I filled out. And you can see that immediately it's popular behind the scenes here. It's populated the students by get that validate roster pop up. And so if I hit validate roster, you can see that it's wondering about Todd here. And if I do Flanders and check it, it matches it. And then I can add this person to my roster. And we can see the students are in the roster here. Uh, as I was mentioning with period, this is a way to sort your roster if you want, which will bring you can move students between these. And it makes sense more when you're awarding badges that you can just say I'm awarding badges to spring 1 2025, etc. Again, there are options to, manage the student account. So you can create passwords for your students and logins as well. Um, and so you can create logins for your students, or you can manage some of the demographic data about, you can put an email in and select which region and school district they're associated in, if there's none that are being associated with them. Um, so I think that's the main part about uploading a student roster. What this allows you to do then is when you're awarding badges as an approver, you have your badges menu. Here are the badges that you can award. And then your students then will appear under the badges. And again, those periods I was talking about, I could just do, if I wanted to just do the badges for the test period, which was the myself originally in there, or you can sort your students in that particular way. So that's the basic about uploading rosters. Is there any questions or anything people would like me to go into more detail about or redo?
I have a quick question for you.
Sure.
And this came up for some of our other roster uploads that we do with different places. It had to be in a CSV file for
Yeah.
security purposes. Is that akin to this? Like, help me sort through that just a little bit.
I think this is a CSV file that Excel is reading and saving as a comma separated file. So yeah, I believe that's what it's reading to upload the information.
Okay,
So
thank
yeah.
you.
What other questions or comments? Anything to go over specifically?
So we just need to make a copy of that template that we were sent.
Yeah, you can make I put the link in, so if you wanna, you could download, make a copy of that and add that in particular information. Or the physical file that Kathy sent, you just want to make a copy of. There is also, and I didn't mention this, there is an upload here for uploading file. There is a download for downloading a header file. Currently, it's the same header, the header file that you have. Is the instructions are slightly different because they're customized to you, but you could reuse that. This this information. The headers are the very row one's going to be the same, but the instructions 2 through 5 is going to be slightly different. We're going to have to work with our developer about maybe uploading, having your specific instruction file there. I think Kathy, it might make sense. I know you were going to have your own landing page for folks to go to navigate to as well. That
Yeah,
on your
let me explain that.
yeah.
So the State Department website is under construction right now. It's getting a complete makeover. So I can't add a new page at this time. I know we are decades past time. So we're excited about that. So right now I can't add a new page, but as soon as I can on the SDE math page, there will be a page that will connect you to SkillStack, so it'd be easier to find. So for now, you just need to bookmark that landing, the SkillStack homepage. That's and if you can't find it, email Rick or I and we'll send it to you. But I can't construct that quite yet. I'm hoping that I can have it up and ready by June. Or in June. It'll be more of a summer makeover for the math part.
Any other questions? Anything that I missed, Kathy, that you might have want me to go over?
Do all of it's more important that they understand it.
Yeah.
How are you guys all feeling about it? Does it look overwhelming? Does it look doable?
Drinking through a fire hose.
Yes.
I think once you do it a couple times, it'll make sense. But
Can I just clarify also? I think when we do a lot of our uploading with different rosters into like Imagine Math and other places, we have an IT department that just codes those, pull it from certain Power School fields, and they can just create the roster for our teachers. That's still something they could do. Would it be better for that person to upload the roster, or would it be better to have the teacher get that roster and then upload it for, like, do you know what I'm saying?
I would say, as for as many teachers as you have, I think having your IT department do it would be a better way to go. Some smaller districts don't always have the IT person to do it. So yes, if you need help, I'm sure your IT people could do this.
Okay, so in that
Easily.
case, if they're uploading the roster, do they also need to have a SkillStack login, or are they able to do that?
they would probably need a SkillStack login to do that.
Okay, I suspect they may have one based on our CTE being involved in the SkillStack here in
Yeah.
Lewiston.
Well,
Okay.
it's possible. And so I will say for the capstone CTE courses, we do a big upload of the data for the student rosters for the teachers. The math is a little bit different because we're putting kind of giving the control back to the students, the teachers to maintain their own rosters. So I'm just saying there is precedent for doing a bulk upload at once, and that is possible if that's easier, and you might be able to figure out a process
I
for
never
those.
really thought about that, but and this is where, because we're the first academic people doing it for an academic subject. If your district is using SkillStack for CTE, your tech department might already know everything how to do this and they would do it for you. So you might want to reach out about that.
So
So would we just talk to our principal first and then, because I know that my high school uses SkillStack because when I went to get my numbers, the principal said, oh yeah, our CTE people use that. But he didn't tell me
Yeah.
how they use it.
I think I would ask them, you might want to go to a CTE teacher and just ask them who uploads your rosters. Start there
That might
and
well,
be.
I was gonna say,
make your way to the person who knows.
well, for CTE, our division does that for them, so we do that. So I'm not sure it's going to happen necessarily at the local at your local level there. So, but they might understand the process about getting the EDU IDs for both your students and the teachers and where that lives. Um,
And if you need like to be walked through it step by step, you could just get on a virtual call with McKenna or Rick and they can help you.
yeah,
This
I
is
guess
like the high level drink from fire hose overview, but when
yeah,
you actually go to do it, I'm the type of person, if I'm doing anything with technology, I need someone to just sit beside me and watch me do it step by step. So that's why we're kind of doing this in really small groups and small doses. So you can kind of try it. And then if you get stuck, to email Rick or McKenna and just set up a time to meet with them after school whenever you can do that.
yeah, I do have the office hours link that will book based on my calendar availability, and I'll share that with Kathy to